Hello Warhammer Explorers. Before we dive in, hit subscribe so the next transmission isn't lost to the warp. Every click tells me to keep building this universe with you. What if the Emperor of Mankind arrived in Jurassic Park? On the golden throne of terror, the Emperor of Mankind feels a strange echo of old Earth. He sees an island where dead beasts walk again, fences fail, and humans are about to die. He sends a fragment of himself to judge this place and learn how far life can be pushed before it breaks. He shapes a golden body from light and pain and binds it to a warp tear above the island called Jurassic Park. With a flare that makes the Astronomicon dim for a heartbeat, his avatar rips free of the immaterium and falls into the storm. Rain slams into the jungle like thrown nails. Lightning claws across the sky above Isla Nublar. Power lines crackle. The ground shakes as a pair of brachiosaurs, huge and gentle, turn their heads and bellow in fear at something only they feel. In the control room, rows of green monitors show cage fields and paddocks. Dennis Nedry is gone. The screens he left behind still flash with error codes and red lines of shutdown. Samuel L. Jackson's character, Ray Arnold, leans close, sweat on his brow, cigarette shaking between his fingers. "Come on," he mutters. "Just give me one fence back." Every fence status blinks. Offline. The storm roars louder. One more frame appears, not from any park camera. It is pure white, then pure gold, then static. In the main road between paddocks, a crushed electric tour car lies upside down in the mud. Another is stuck in a tree nearby, its wheels spinning. Two children, Lex and Tim, crawl out from under a cracked glass roof, soaked and shaking. The Tyrannosaurus towers above them like a living cliff of meat and teeth. Rain beads on its dark scales. Its yellow eyes fix on the children as it leans down, hot breath washing over them. It opens its jaws. The world turns gold. A spear of light falls from the clouds and hits the road with a sound like a church bell and a thunderclap mixed together. Shock waves rip out in a perfect ring. Mud sprays. The T-Rex stumbles back with a roar, thrown off balance. In the center of a smoking crater, a figure kneels. He is tall, taller than any man Lex has ever seen. His skin shines like burnished bronze. A cloak of red and white hangs from his shoulders, heavy with unseen weight. His armor is gold, layered and engraved, as if each plate carries the memory of a dead world. A halo of slow burning light hangs behind his head, forming a circle that does not go out in the rain. The Emperor of Mankind raises his head and looks at the Tyrannosaurus. He does not blink. He stands. Mud slides off invisible force. His eyes glow, but not like flame. They glow like a star seen from far away, small and endless. The T-Rex roars and charges. The children scream. The beast's jaws come down like a falling gate. The Emperor lifts one hand. Air hardens. An invisible wall catches the Tyrannosaur's skull. Its teeth grind against empty space, inches from Lex's face. Spit hangs in the air, like a frozen web. Her hair lifts in the pressure field. The Emperor's golden gauntlet closes into a fist. The beast's head is thrown sideways, slammed into the toppled car. Metal crunches. Glass explodes. The Tyrannosaurus crashes into the mud with a roar of shock and pain. The Emperor sways. Tiny cracks, like hairline fractures in glass, spider across his golden armor where the impact focused. Light leaks from them, white and hot, before slowly dimming. He looks down at Lex and Tim. "Rise," he says, voice calm and deep. "You are not food." Lex's legs shake so hard she can barely stand. He reaches out his hand. She feels warmth, like standing in sunlight, but it does not burn. "Who are you?" Tim whispers. He thinks of comic books and angels and kings. None of them fit. "I am the guardian of your kind," the Emperor says, "and your world has done something very foolish." Codex note: a golden avatar of the master of mankind is a focused shard of his will, shaped into matter. It is mighty, but every act of power frays the tether to the true body upon the throne. The Tyrannosaurus staggers back to its feet. It is not dead. Blood runs from a cut above one eye. The beast shakes its head, roars in pain and fury, then lunges again. "Do not kill it," Lex blurts. Her own words shock her. This thing almost ate her, but it is alive. It looks scared and angry and confused. The Emperor glances at her. There is the smallest pause. He steps sideways, fast but not rushed, his cloak snapping behind him. The T-Rex's jaws slam shut where he stood. He grips its upper jaw with one hand and its lower jaw with the other, golden fingers sunk deep into scale and muscle. Muscles like coiled cable flex in his arms. The Tyrannosaurus pushes. He pushes back. "Be still," he says. His eyes flare. A wave of soft, crushing pressure rolls out, not at the body, but at the mind. It is a command older than language and deeper than fear. For a moment, the dinosaur sees stars, old forests, hot swamps, and strange skies all at once. Then it slumps. Its weight hits the road. Mud splashes. The beast lies breathing, eyes half-lidded, dropped into a heavy, dreamless sleep. The Emperor lets its jaw go and steps away. Again, the cracks in his armor widen, then slowly close. He exhales, very softly. "Mercy first," he says, "when there is time." He turns to the children. "Walk," he tells them. "Stay behind me. There will be more." In the control room, the monitors shake with static from the golden impact. Ray Arnold stares, mouth open. Did we just pick up another Jeep?" he mutters. On one screen, the sleeping Tyrannosaurus lies across the broken road. On another, a golden figure leads two tiny shapes past its feet. Ray rips off his headset. "Hammond," he shouts, "you need to see this right now." John Hammond, white beard damp from the storm, hurries in, clutching his cane. His eyes are wide, not with wonder this time, but with an old man's fear. "What is it?" he demands. "Where are my grandchildren?" Ray points at the screen. Hammond sees the Emperor and forgets to breathe. "That's..." He cannot find a word. "That's not one of ours." "No, sir," Ray says. "And he just put our biggest predator to sleep with his hands." Hammond stares at the golden figure, at the halo that does not match any light he knows. For just a second, he feels something pressing at the back of his mind, a sense of age, of judgment. "Get Muldoon," Hammond whispers, "and Dr. Grant if you can reach him, and anyone else still alive. We are going to that man." Far above the storm, past the clouds and the air, a grey ship hangs in low orbit. Its prow bears a steel skull and a burning eye. Gun decks line its sides. Cathedral towers rise from its hull. Stained glass windows show saints burning witches and soldiers dying under alien claws. It is an inquisitorial black ship, a hunter of psychers and heresy. On its bridge, Inquisitor Sarah Val of the Ordo Xenos stares at a holo display. One tiny point on the globe below blazes with gold and scarlet. Warp Spike, the tech adept drones, his face half metal, his voice flat. Location, small island, equatorial zone. Pattern unknown, strength extreme. "Can we classify?" Val asks. Her voice is sharp, clipped. Her coat is black, lined with red. An eye of iron hangs at her neck. Her eyes are grey stone. "Not exactly," the adept says. "Signature shares traits with known demon incursions and with recorded psychic events from the days of the Great Crusade. There is also an echo that matches certain forbidden archives. Val's jaw tightens. Show me. The display zooms in. Static. Thunder. A short, freeze-frame image of a golden figure holding back a giant reptile. Her heart stutters. That is... The word Emperor wants to rise, but she crushes it. That is an unlicensed icon. A mimic. Or something worse. She points. Prepare an assault shuttle, she orders. Stormtroopers in full kit. Deathwatch kill team on standby. We are making planetfall. Should we signal the nearest battle fleet? The adept asks. Val looks again at the golden shape on the screen. If that is what I think it is, she says, we will not have time to argue with admirals. She turns, coat swirling. And if it is a lie, she adds, we may have to burn this world to its bones before the lie spreads. In the jungle, the Emperor walks. Lex and Tim follow close, hands clutching the edge of his cloak when thunder makes them jump. Branches slap against his armor and break. Rain showers off him in sheets. Raptors watch from the undergrowth. Bright eyes, soft growls. They pad along, but do not leap. Something in them remembers a command they do not understand. The Emperor's mind brushes theirs. He feels teeth and hunger and pack thought. He also feels a wrongness. Their thoughts are too sharp, too clean, like knives ground on a machine. There are gaps where instinct should be and strange cold threads of math where memory should lie. Unnatural, he thinks. Life stolen from death, shaped with poor care. Are you speaking to them? Lex asks, voice small. Yes, he says. What do they say? Tim asks. He tilts his head, listening. A raptor draws closer, then freezes as his gaze meets it. They say they were made and pushed, he answers. They say there is a new voice inside them that is not of tooth or blood. He reaches out and touches the nearest tree. For a moment, his hand passes through bark. He feels the island itself, roots, stone, old lava, fresh scars where something invisible tore paths through the world. He frowns. In the distance, deeper in the jungle, something roars. It is not any dinosaur this island should hold. The sound is layered, many throats in one. We must reach your elders, he says, the ones who built this place, and we must speak to the one who thinks it can use such beasts as tools. They reach a clearing where a jeep waits, headlights cutting through the rain. Robert Muldoon, the game warden, stands in front of it, shotgun ready. His hat is gone. His face is tired and hard. Beside him is Alan Grant, clothes torn, eyes full of too many new truths about old animals. Behind them, John Hammond stands with his cane, breathing fast. Muldoon lifts the shotgun as the Emperor steps into the light. Then he sees the children. Lex, Hammond cries. Tim. They run to him, sobbing. He wraps them in his arms. Grandpa, he saved us, Lex says into his jacket. He stopped the T-Rex. He made it go to sleep. Hammond looks over their heads at the Emperor. His mouth opens and closes. Thank you, he manages at last. Whoever you are, thank you. I should introduce myself. John Hammond, founder of Jurassic Park. You built this island of beasts, the Emperor says. It is not a question. Hammond swallows. Yes, he says. Yes, I did. And now it is falling apart. I wanted to show the world something beautiful, to prove we could bring back wonder, to control it. The Emperor steps closer. His presence presses on everyone like more gravity. At what price? He asks, voice soft. How many have died for your wonder? Hammond's shoulders sag. He thinks of workers he barely knew, of a lawyer eaten from a toilet seat, of blood on bathroom tiles, of his grandchildren almost gone. Too many, he whispers. Alan Grant looks at the Emperor with a scientist's eyes. He sees symmetry and design and power. He also sees, in the cracks of the armor, that this being is not untouchable. "Who are you?" Grant asks. "A teacher," the Emperor says. "A warlord, a father to your kind. You may call me the Emperor." Muldoon snorts once, not quite a laugh. "Right," he says. "And I'm a Stegosaurus." The Emperor turns his gaze on him. Muldoon's joke dies. Something inside him recognizes a chain of command that goes far beyond this island. "Very well, sir," Muldoon says instead. "We need to get back to the control room," Ray Arnold says over the Jeep's radio, voice crackling. "The fences are all down, Hammond. We've got herds moving like I've never seen. They're not just wandering. They're heading somewhere." "Where?" Grant asks. "Power station," Ray says. "Every big predator is circling the power station. It's like they're coordinated." The Emperor's eyes narrow. "That is your true problem," he says. "Not one beast, a mind above them." He looks up toward the storm, and something above that mind, reaching in from the dark. The assault shuttle falls like a knife through the clouds. Engines scream, flares burn around it. It punches out of the storm, wings sweeping forward, black hull shining with holy oil. Inside, Inquisitor Sarah Val grips a handrail. Around her, stormtroopers in carapace armor check hell guns and pray under their breath. Across from her sit 4 giants in black power armor. Their pauldrons bear a silver skull and a cross of bones. Their left shoulder plates are painted with the colors and symbols of different Space Marine chapters: Ultramarine, Space Wolf, Dark Angel, Blood Angel. They are Deathwatch, elite alien hunters. Each cradles a bolter, a gun that fires rocket-propelled explosive shells the size of a child's forearm. Target is a class-unknown psychoform, Val says, into the shuttle's Vox. Host environment is a gene-modded xenopreserve. Expect hostile wildlife. Primary mission, secure the anomaly. Secondary, prevent spread of any warp-tainted gene stock to the wider human population. One Marine, his face hidden behind a black helmet marked with a white omega, speaks. "If the anomaly resists," he asks. Val's eyes are flat. "Then you kill it," she says, "no matter what it looks like." The Marine nods once. "By the throne," he says. The shuttle slams into a landing sequence. The Jeep reaches the visitor center as the shuttle comes down. Thunder rolls. Rain turns to steam where the shuttle's engines burn. Hammond flinches, then stares. "What now?" he whispers. The Emperor steps out of the Jeep. He watches the black craft settle, landing gear crushing wet grass and cracked paving stones. The ramp lowers. Stormtroopers fan out, guns up, movements sharp and trained. Behind them stride the 4 Deathwatch Marines, each one taller and wider than the Emperor's already tall form. Hammond's knees go weak. These are not from any company I hired," he mutters. The Emperor studies the Marines, genetically engineered super soldiers, gene sons of his own gene sons, warriors built from his designs. Something like pride and something like sorrow pass over his face. The nearest Marine stops. He feels something in his gene seed stir, a deep memory of a father he was told to worship but never expect to see. "By Gilliman," he breathes. "What?" Inquisitor Val steps past him. Her boots splash in puddles. She looks up at the Emperor, eyes narrowed, jaw tight. "Stormtroopers," she snaps. "Form cordon. Deathwatch, cover that thing." Hellgun muzzles swing toward the Emperor. Bolters come up, massive and heavy. Muldoon swears under his breath. Grant raises his hand slowly. Lex and Tim huddle behind the Emperor's cloak. "You appear," Val says to the Golden Giant. In a blinding warp event, you take the image of our God-Emperor. You interfere with xeno life forms that are already breaching control. Explain yourself, creature. Silence stretches. Rain hisses. The Emperor looks at her. He sees duty, fear, a will that will burn worlds to ash if she thinks it is needed. You stand in judgment, he says. That is your role. Good. Judge then. Look at me. He lets a little of himself show. Not a blast of power, not a blinding miracle, just truth. For a heartbeat, Val feels the weight of 10,000 years. She sees armies crossing stars. She sees a man with a sword standing before monsters that are not dinosaurs, but things with too many mouths and no shape at all. She feels in her skull the exact pattern of the Astronomicon beacon she has knelt toward her whole life. She almost drops to her knees. Almost. Her teeth clench. Demon, she whispers, but her voice shakes. Father, one Death Watch Marine breathes before he can stop himself. The Emperor turns slightly toward him. I made you to be more than weapons, he says softly. Remember that. Hellguns tremble. Stormtroopers glance at each other. You are compromised, Val tells her own mind. You are being played. Stay hard. She forces steel back into her spine. Whether you are what you claim or some warp thing wearing his image, she says aloud, this island is becoming a threat to more than just itself. Something is moving the beast packs in a coordinated way. My ship's augurs show a growing shadow in the immaterium above us. If we fail to contain this, I will order exterminatus. Hammond stares at her. Exter... What? He asks. Orbital cleansing, the Emperor says. They will burn your island, and much more from the sky. Val flinches that he knows the term. She lifts her chin. Yes, she says, I will. So you will work with me, anomaly, or I will remove you along with this mistake of a park. The Emperor nods once. At last, he says, a clear threat, a clear choice. He raises his hand, not in attack, in command. Bring everyone inside, he tells Muldoon and Grant. We hold this place. Then we strike the mind that guides your beasts before a worse mind arrives. And if we cannot, Val asks. He looks at Hammond's pale face, at Lex and Tim, at the storm. Then you do what you must, he says. But you will give me the chance to save what can be saved. Val is quiet for a moment. Agreed, she says at last. For now. Up to now, the Emperor has arrived, saved children, met the park's maker, and drawn the eye of the Imperium's secret hunters. Now the true enemy begins to move. Hours later, the visitor center's main hall has turned into a war room. Tables are dragged together. Paper maps of Isla Nublar are spread out. Park staff crowd at the edges, pale and tired. Stormtroopers stand at doors and windows. The Death Watch Marines loom at the sides like living statues. Lex and Tim sit on the stairs, listening. A hollow projector from Val's shuttle paints a flickering 3D grid of the island above the map. Dots move on it, big ones for large animals, smaller ones for people. Look here, Ray Arnold says, pointing with a shaking finger. The sauropods are all heading this way, raptors too, even the Dilophosaurus groups. They're moving like chess pieces. They're being herded, Muldoon says. By who? Or what, Grant does not say. Val gestures, and different overlays flash. Psychic scans from orbit show a building shadow in the warp above the main laboratory complex, she says. There is also a signal spike from deep underground, near your power station. Hammond clears his throat. The laboratory. We did more than simple cloning there, he admits. There was a second phase. We were working with other partners, advanced gene templates, to make new products, stronger, Smarter. What partners? Val snaps. Off-world interests, Hammond says, wincing. A group that called themselves the Biologies. Red-robed people. Very quiet. They said they could give us new sequences, make the animals more control-friendly. The tech priest standing behind Val hisses, Vox grill crackling. Heretical activity, he spits. Unlicensed magi. Or worse, xenomechanicus. The Emperor watches the map. The beasts do not think in plans of this scale, he says. Someone has seeded a new mind here. It is climbing through them. He looks at Hammond. You invited men who worship machines to touch the bones of your world, he says. They mixed more than you can imagine into your creation. Hammond looks sick. I wanted safety, he protests weakly. If we could control them, we could keep people from getting hurt. The Emperor's gaze softens, a fraction. You wanted wonder without risk, he says. Control without wisdom. I have made that mistake too. Val's head snaps toward him. Is that a confession? She asks. It is a lesson, he says. I tried to shape a whole species by decree. I forgot they were not only tools. You forgot these beasts were not only attractions. Ellie Sattler steps forward. Her clothes are muddy. Her face is lined with worry and anger. They're alive, she says. You made them, Hammond. You owe them more than cages and shock fences. But if their very birth is a threat to others, we have to face that too. She turns to the Emperor. You, whoever you are, can you just fix this? Wave your hand and put them all back to sleep. Lex leans forward, holding her breath. The Emperor shakes his head. No, he says, not all, not now. This body is only a shard of my full power. This island is drowned in strange currents. The more force I use, the more I feed what is gathering above us. Captain Titus of the Death Watch grunts. Then we treat this as any other Xeno war zone, he says. We break the synapse, kill the guiding mind. The packs will fall into confusion. We can contain them or exterminate them after. Val nods slowly. A surgical strike, she says. On the laboratory complex. Take the Emperor thing, the Death Watch, my stormtroopers. The rest stay here and hold this building, defend the civilians. And me, Grant says. Everyone looks at him. These animals are mine, he says quietly. I mean, I understand them. I can maybe see patterns you don't. I won't just sit and watch you treat them like bugs. Muldoon nods once. I'll go too, he says. If there's a hunt, I'm in it. Hammond slams his cane down. No, he blurts. I won't allow it. This park was meant to be safe, to show families something pure. I don't want it turned into a battlefield. Val's eyes harden. This park is already a battlefield, she says. You just did not plan for the enemy to be your own product. Her gaze sweeps the map. There is more at stake here than your profits, she continues. If this shadow grows strong enough, it will act as a beacon. It could draw a full Tyrannid hive fleet here. Or worse, it could twist your beast into a bioweapon that spreads across systems. Tyrannid, Grant repeats. A race of devourers, the Emperor says. They eat worlds to the core and leave nothing but stone dust. What you have made here sings to them like fresh blood. The room goes very quiet. So we kill them, Muldoon says. All of them. Herds, predators, eggs, everything. Hit the labs with whatever you've got in orbit. Drop a... what did you call it? Exterminatus. His voice is steady, but Lex sees his hand gripping his shotgun hard. Sattler's face twists. No, she says. You can't just wipe out a whole population because they might be dangerous. Might? Val snaps. They are already killing people. So do cars and guns and bad roads, Sattler fires back. We don't drop fire from the sky on cities because someone designed a bad bridge. This is not a bridge, Val says. This is a warp-tainted xeno-breeding ground. Her voice softens, but only a little. I do not take exterminatus lightly, she says. I have seen what it does. I still wake with the screams of a burning world in my ears. If I must give that order again, it will not be for your park alone. It will be to save billions. All eyes turn to the Emperor. Lex notices that even the Death Watch seem to wait on his word. His face is calm, but there is a weight in his eyes. You are both right, he says at last. Life has value, even when it is made in error. But sometimes, to protect the many, we must destroy what we would rather save. He looks down at his hand, flexes fingers that crackle briefly with hidden power. I have ordered worlds burned, he says quietly. I will do so again if I must, but not before I have tried another path. He points at the lab complex on the map. We strike the mind, he says. We try to free your beast from its control. If we fail, if the shadow continues to grow, then you, he nods at Val, will call your fire. I will not stop you. Grant stares at him. You're willing to let her kill you? He asks. The Emperor smiles, but it is not a happy thing. I am many things, he says. I endure. Val feels a strange mix of respect and fear. You accept that I may have to end this place, she says, even if you are in it. Yes, he says, because the fate of one island, one shard of me, is nothing beside the hunger that waits in the dark. Hammond's hands shake. I never meant for any of this, he whispers. That does not change what must be done, the Emperor says, but you can still choose to help. Hammond looks up. How? He asks. Tell us every secret you kept, the Emperor says. Every lab, every failsafe, every back door your partners used. We go in with open eyes, or we die in the dark. The plan forms quickly. The Emperor, Captain Titus, the Death Watch, Muldoon, Grant, and a squad of stormtroopers will ride out in armored jeeps toward the lab complex near the power station. They will hit the control center that sits above the underground research vaults. Val will stay at the visitor center with the rest of her forces. Hammond, Sattler, Lex, Tim, and the surviving staff. They will hold the building against whatever the coordinated dinosaur herds throw at it. Val links her Vox to her ship. Arm exterminatus torpedoes, she orders, voice low. Do not target yet. Await my code word. Code word? The ship's captain asks. She looks at the Emperor. Ashes, she says. Lex shivers. She watches the Emperor walk toward the doors with the others. Will you come back? She blurts. He stops. He turns. I do not always come back, he says, but I always try, and I do not abandon children lightly. Lex nods, bites her lip. She wants to tell him he looks like pictures of angels from church books. She wants to ask if that means God is real. But his eyes tell her he has been called many things, and that none of them are simple. Good luck, she says instead. He inclines his head, then steps out into the rain. The jeep engines roar as they tear down flooded roads. The Emperor rides in the front jeep, standing, one hand on the roll bar, cloak whipping. Stormtroopers ride behind, hell guns ready. Muldoon drives, shotgun wedged near his knee. Behind them, another jeep carries Captain Titus and one more Death Watch Marine. The other two Marines follow on foot, their massive strides eating distance. Dinosaurs crash through the jungle around them. A pack of raptors darts out of the trees, teeth bared. Titus swings his bolter. Explosive shells tear the hedges apart, sending beasts tumbling. Stop, Grant yells from the back seat. You'll kill them all. That is the point, Titus says. The Emperor lifts his hand. "Hold," he says. Titus stops firing. The surviving raptors screech and leap. The Emperor's eyes blaze. A ripple of force rolls out, not as a wall this time, but as a wave that bends thought. The raptors' eyes glaze. They stumble. Then, like dogs ordered to stay, they halt at the edge of the road, chests heaving. The lead raptor tilts its head, snarls softly, then turns and runs, the others following. Muldoon whistles low. "That is one way to clear a path," he says. Grant stares at the Emperor. "You could just turn them off?" he asks. "For a moment," the Emperor says. "Their minds are small and sharp, easy to press. But each time I do this, something pushes back." He presses a hand to his temple. A flicker runs through his halo, a stutter in its steady glow. "Are you all right?" Grant asks. "For now," the Emperor replies. The jeep rounds a bend. The lab complex rises ahead. A cluster of low buildings, metal and concrete, ringed by electric fences that now hang dead and loose. Smoke coils from vents. Lightning flashes behind it. Above the main building, the air shimmers. A dark stain hangs in the sky, like a bruise on reality. It is not a cloud. It does not move with the wind. It pulses in and out with a slow hunger. The Emperor feels it. The warp presses against this world here, thin and strained. Something on the island is dragging at it. "There," he says, "the mind." As if in answer, the jungle ahead explodes. A new creature bursts out. It is larger than the Tyrannosaurus he faced earlier. Its skin is a patchwork of plates, some smooth, some ridged, some shining with wet chitin that is not from any dinosaur. Two sets of eyes blink on its skull, one pair reptilian, one faceted like an insect's. Its jaw splits in four at the front, showing layered teeth and a pulsing tongue. Spines grow from its back, linked by fleshy webbing that hums in the air. Each spine crackles with a faint psychic hiss. It roars. The roar hits the Emperor not only as sound, but as a blast in the mind. For a heartbeat, he is not on the road. He is in a sea of black hunger. He feels himself as a tiny point of light in a void full of teeth. Then he is back. The jeep swerves. Muldoon curses, fighting the wheel. "New one," he grunts. "That's not on any of your lists, Hammond." "Hybrid," Grant says, voice shaking. "Some kind of hybrid." The Emperor draws himself up. "Stop the vehicles," he says. Muldoon slams the brakes. The jeep skid in the mud. The Death Watch Marines move forward, forming a line, bolters raised. "Target the head and spine nodes," Titus orders. "Fire on my mark." The Emperor lifts his hand. "Wait," he says. "This one speaks for what sits above it." He reaches out with his mind, deeper this time, past teeth and instinct. For an instant, he touches something behind the hybrid's eyes. It is a network. Dinosaur nerves wired into machine cores. Alien gene strains woven into reptile brain tissue. All of it tied by thin, cold threads to a pulsing mass deep beneath the lab. At the center of that mass, he feels another mind. Not animal, not quite machine. Something that listens through many bodies and feeds on fear and thought. It notices him. Pain slams into his avatar like a hammer. Not physical pain, not flesh and blood. A shearing in the warp tether that holds him to his true self. The golden body flickers. Lines of fire run across his vision. He staggers. "Now!" Titus shouts. Bolters roar. Explosive shells slam into the hybrid's skull and shoulders. Chunks of meat and chitin fly. The creature shrieks, sways, then crashes to the ground, tearing up chunks of earth. The air above it ripples, then settles. The Emperor drops to one knee. Light gushes from the cracks in his armor, bright and ragged. He grits his teeth, forces it back, binds the fractures with will. "Emperor," Grant says, reaching out. "What happened?" The golden giant looks up. His voice is rougher. "It bit back," he says. Power scaling interlude. Inquisitor Val's voice crackles over the vox as readings stream in from orbit. The tech priest explains that Tyranid creatures cast a shadow in the warp, a dead zone that smothers psychic light and gnaws at any mind that shines too bright within it. Here, that shadow has been woven into cloned dinosaur brains and machine cores, making a local null field that twists every psychic push into food for the thing below. The Emperor's avatar is a beacon in that darkness, a feast that the newborn hive mind is trying to eat. Each time he uses his powers at full strength, he risks tearing his tether to the throne and feeding the enemy that could call its cousins across the stars. For a moment, no one moves. Rain hisses on the hybrid's corpse. Steam curls up from hot, torn flesh. The dark bruise in the sky pulses once, then holds. Captain Titus lowers his bolter a fraction. "Report," he growls. Stormtroopers call out status. No dead. One injured ankle. The jeeps are splashed with gore, but still work. Grant stares at the dead hybrid. "It felt you," he says to the Emperor. "Didn't it? Through that thing in the sky." "Yes," the Emperor says. His voice carries strain now. Light flickers weakly around his halo. "Up to now, we have tracked the beasts, felt the shadow's bite, and killed its first champion. Now we must go into its lair and face what commands it." The vox on Titus's belt crackles. "Inquisitor Val to strike team," her voice cuts in. "We are reading a surge in warp activity at your location, then a drop. Status." "The hybrid is dead," Titus replies. "The anomaly, the Emperor, was wounded, but he stands." "I am listening, Inquisitor," the Emperor says, turning to the vox as if it were a person. "Speak." There is a pause. Then Val's tone shifts a little, tighter, like she is trying not to show worry. "Our augurs confirm a local null field focused around the lab complex," she says. "The tech priest believes the park's biologist partners seeded Tyranid synapse tissue into these beasts. They built a control network. It is waking up." The tech priest's metallic voice joins in. "Standard psychic assaults will be dampened and twisted," he drones. "Direct warp projection risks feeding the nascent hive mind. Conventional firepower will work, but the core is buried in reinforced strata beneath the labs. You must breach and destroy that core before it achieves full connection with the greater Tyranid synapse web." "In plain words," Val adds, "you need to cut the brain out before the rest of its species hears it screaming." Grant swallows. "And if they do hear it," he asks, "then this island," Val says, "becomes the appetizer for a fleet that eats continents." Muldoon checks his shotgun, jaw set. "So we hit the labs hard and fast," he says. "Minimal cleverness. Maximum shells." The Emperor looks at the shimmer in the sky. "I cannot unleash the full weight of my will here," he says. "Every great act would be a beacon and a meal. So we do as your captain says. Steel, fire, and measured blows." He turns from the hybrid's body. "Forward," he orders, "before it builds another." The jeeps roll again, slower now. They pass through outer fences where wires hang loose like torn cobwebs. Security cameras swing on broken mounts. A sign that once read, "Authorized personnel only," lies in the mud, half crushed under a three-toed footprint. The lab complex looms ahead. Low, square buildings, thick walls, no windows at ground level. The main doors hang open, one bent inward, one torn off. Inside lights flicker. Grant feels his chest tighten. He remembers clean white tiles, glass walls, the distant chirps and hoots of tiny creatures in incubators. Now the air that leaks out smells like rot and chemicals. Muldoon kills the engine. "This is as far as we drive," he says. "Last thing we need is to get boxed in." The Death Watch move up, black armor whispering. Titus signals his Marines. "Form wedge," he orders. "Bolters ready. Stormtroopers behind us. Emperor in the center, whether he likes it or not." The Emperor gives him a faint look. "You would put me behind a shield wall?" he asks. "Standard protocol for unknown assets," Titus says. "We protect the strongest thing on our side until we know how to aim it." The Emperor actually smiles, very small. "Very well," he says. "Lead, Captain. I will follow, for now." Inside, the labs are a grave. Emergency lights blink red. Smashed computers spark. A body in a white coat lies half-eaten in a corner. Grant forces himself not to look too closely. He passes a room where dinosaur eggs once sat in neat circles. Now the nests are empty, shells crushed under clawed feet. The party moves deeper. Vox lines between them and the visitor center hiss softly. Val's voice comes through, steady but distant. "Your scanners should pick up increasing warp flux as you near the core," she says. "Be ready for manifestations." "Demons?" Muldoon asks under his breath. "Maybe," Titus grunts. "Maybe just worse hybrids." They reach an elevator shaft. The doors are crumpled inward, like something forced them open from within. The car is gone, cables dangling. Grant peers down. Dim red light swirls far below, like a heart seen through fog. "How far?" he asks. 40 meters, the tech priest on the Vox answers. "Main research vault lies at the base. The core you seek is under that floor." The Emperor steps to the edge of the shaft. He looks down, eyes narrowing. "There is a mine there," he says. "Not yet whole, but it knows we are coming." He looks at Titus. "Can your armor handle a drop?" he asks. The captain checks the shaft, measures distance with a soldier's eye. "Yes," he says, "if we land right." "And your men," the Emperor adds, looking at the stormtroopers. "We'll find another way," Muldoon says quickly. "Stairs maybe, service ladders. No need to toss them like grenades." The Emperor nods. "You and Grant take the long way," he says. "You know these halls. Titus with me. We will strike at the core from above. You strike from the side. We meet in its heart." Titus nods. "Brothers," he tells his Marines. "With me." He grips the shaft edge. "On my mark," he says. 3, 2, 1. They jump. 4 tons of ceramite and fury vanish into the red dark. The Emperor steps after them, cloak flaring. He falls without hurry, body rigid, eyes open. Grant stares. Muldoon grabs his arm. "Come on, Doc," he says. "We're not doing that. Stairs this way." The fall is fast. The Death Watch hit first. They land in a crouch that cracks the floor. Shock absorbers scream in their armor. One Marine grunts, but they do not break. The Emperor's feet touch down with less sound but more impact. A ring of force shudders out, dust jumping in a circle. He straightens. They stand in a wide circular chamber. The walls are lined with tanks. In each tank, something grows. Some are half-formed dinosaurs. Others are not. Long necks with chitin plates. Clawed arms with too many joints. Eyes that are not eyes, but clusters of dull white nodes. Pale fluid bubbles around them. In the center of the chamber rises a column of tissue and metal. Pipes run into it. Cables plug into wet sockets. Bones jut from the mass, some human, some not. Deep inside that column, something throbs. The Emperor feels it watching. He steps forward. "Show yourself, maker of this corruption," he says. I know you're kind. Come out from behind your tools. For a moment, there is only the pulse of the core. Then a part of it opens. A figure emerges. It is tall, wrapped in red robes now soaked in darker stains. Its lower body is fused to the column by thick cords of flesh and wire. Its arms are thin metal limbs ending in sharp manipulators. Its head is a skull of polished steel, split down the center to make room for a vertical line of compound eyes. Half of its face is human, the skin stretched tight and tattooed with cog runes. It wears a cog-shaped symbol of the Mechanicus, twisted, its teeth reshaped into a ring of small devouring mouths. I am Magos Helix 9, it says. Its voice is like broken glass and oil. I designed this nexus. I gave this island its true purpose. And now I greet the one who once thought himself the only master of human flesh. The Emperor studies it. A heretic, he says. A traitor of the machine cult. And worse, you have touched Tyrannid stock and not burned for it. Nine's many eyes glitter. I improved it, he says. Your Imperium fears the hive mind because it cannot fit it into your feudal order. I saw what it could be. A model, a pattern, perfect unity, no rebellion, no chaos. He gestures with a metal hand at the tanks around them. These beasts are my first choir, he purrs. Each brain hosts a piece of the song. Together, they can call to the great swarm. And when it answers, I will lead it, not as prey, but as conductor. Titus lifts his bolter. You will burn for this, he says, by decree of Holy Mars and by my chapter's oath. Helix 9 laughs. You cling to oaths like your dinosaurs cling to their broken fences, he says. Old rules, weak bars. I offer a new order. One mind, one will, clean, sharp, efficient. His eyes lock on the Emperor. You know what I speak of, Ancient One, he croons. You tried to make a species in your image and failed. They fought you, betrayed you, broke your dream. But here, with this, you can try again. He leans forward as far as his flesh cables allow. Imagine, Emperor, he whispers, a world where every cloned beast, every seeded human, every machine sings your song. No gods, no warp demons. Just your voice in every mind. No more heresy, no more inquisitions, no more need for chains, because there is no I to rebel. The Emperor's jaw tightens. You speak of peace, he says, but all I hear is silence. He takes a step closer. Titus shifts, ready. Helix 9's eyes flare. And yet you hesitate, the Magos says, because you know I am right, because you know your free children have failed you again and again. Let me give you a better brood. The core behind him throbs harder. The air grows thick. The Emperor feels the warp shadow wrap tighter around his avatar. Enough, Titus snaps. He fires. Bolter shells slam toward Helix 9. A psychic wave slams out from the core. The rounds bend in the mid-flight, arcs of force jerking them aside. They explode against the walls, shredding tanks and spilling growing horrors onto the floor. The room screams, not with one voice, with many. Tiny hive minds, half awake, push thoughts of hunger and pain into every skull. The Death Watch stagger. Even their genetically hardened minds reel. A lash of psychic force lashes toward the Emperor. He meets it head on. Light bursts from his eyes. He sweeps his arm, catching the wave. The chamber howls as two wills claw at each other. Helix 9's voice rises above the noise. See, he cries, you must fight mind with mind. Flesh and guns are toys here. Pour yourself in, Emperor. Take my place at the heart. You could bind this nexus to you. You could be the hive. The Emperor pushes back. His avatar's armor splits in new lines. Golden plates crack. White fire spills out, not just light, but raw presence. For a moment, the Death Watch see not a man, but something vaster, layered, endless. Then the shadow bites. It crawls up the beam of power he is using, gnaws at the link between avatar and throne. Where it bites, his light dims, and a cold, many-voiced hunger mutters, "Feed." The Emperor gasps. His knees hit the floor. The psychic beam wavers. Helix 9 laughs, drunk on contact. "Yes," he hisses, "more. You are a doorway. Give me the star behind you." The core's flesh bulges. Veins stretch toward the Emperor, drawn to his light like roots to water. A spray of bone spine shoots out. They are not simple projectiles. Each spine carries a sliver of null field, a shard of tyrannid shadow. They slice toward him. He cannot dodge. His focus is locked on the psychic clash. Titus throws himself in front, but he is a heartbeat too slow. The spines hit. One slams into the Emperor's chest, piercing cracked armor. Another punches through his left shoulder. A third grazes his cheek. He feels them not just in flesh, but in the tether itself. Where they sink in, the warp current between avatar and throne goes dark, replaced by a dead, sucking spot that drags at his mind. Pain explodes. He falls fully to one knee, one hand on the floor, the other clutching at the spike in his chest. Codex note: Tyrannid bioweapons laced with shadow in the warp can act as psychic leeches, turning a psyker's own connection to the immaterium into a wound that bleeds power into the hive mind. Grant and Muldoon arrive at a side door as this happens. They burst in, guns ready, and freeze. The sight in the chamber tears the breath from them. The Emperor is down on one knee, golden armor cracked and bleeding light and blackness both. Mutant tanks lie shattered. Death Watch Marines are locking shoulders, fighting to stay upright under waves of mental pressure. In the center, Helix 9 sways with the core, arms spread, eyes blazing. "Do you see now, Emperor?" the Magos croons. "You cannot solve this with half measures. Either you give yourself to the network and become its master, or it eats you and becomes your replacement." His gaze flicks to Grant and Muldoon. "Your new humanity," he says with a twisted smile, "could ride on clone spines and steel hooves. They would not doubt you. They would not disobey. You would never have another Horus." The name hangs in the air like a curse. The Emperor flinches as if struck. In that instant, memories surge. A favored son with a broken face. Legions tearing each other apart. Fire on Terra's walls. The throne, cold and waiting. He could, he realizes, do it. If he poured his whole will through this avatar, if he let the warp tether rip and shoveled his mind down into this core, he could seize the newborn hive. He could weld it to his pattern. Every beast on this island, every gene stock seeded from it, could become another node in his control. From there, he could leap again, into human clones, into machine minds, a web of himself spread across the stars. No more gods, no more faith, no more inquisitors burning worlds to keep his myth pure. Just him, everywhere. He feels for one terrible moment the pull of that idea. Unity, order, silence. Then another sound cuts through. Lex's voice. Not here, in the chamber. Far away, in the visitor center, speaking into a vox she thinks is off. "Please," she whispers, not knowing he hears. "Please let him come back. Please don't let them kill the dinosaurs for nothing. They didn't ask to be made." A small, scared hope slices across the noise. He sees her, as clearly as if she stood before him. A child who loves the creatures that almost ate her, who asked him not to kill when there was time to show mercy. His own motto surfaces from a time before the crusade, before the church, before the armor. Humanity must choose to stand, he once said, or it is not worth saving. He looks up at Helix 9. You offer me a garden of statues, he says, voice raw. Not a people. The Mago sneers. They will not thank you for your mercy, he says. They never do. They will hang from your image and scream your name while they burn each other in your honor. Take the hive. Be done with their weakness. I will not become what hunts them, the Emperor says. He pushes against the spikes. They burn his hands. Shadow crawls up his arms like frost. Captain, he manages. Melter charges. On the core. Now. Titus shakes off a psychic wave with a roar. He signals his marines. Breaching pattern gamma, he snaps. Charges on the base. Cover fire. The Death Watch move. One marine pulls compact melter bombs from his belt. He slams them into the flesh metal at the core's root. Another lays down bolter fire, not at Helix 9 now, but at the writhing cables and newly formed growths, cutting them before they can lash out. Helix 9 screams. No, he shrieks. You would destroy perfection. You would throw away your one chance to fix them. He shoves with his mind. The core's mass lurches. Meat tentacles shoot toward the Marines. One grabs a Death Watch by the leg and hurls him into a tank. Glass bursts. The Marine crashes, armor sparking. Muldoon fires both barrels of his shotgun at a reaching limb. Pale flesh explodes, but two more tendrils grow in its place. Grant grabs a dropped Hellgun, teeth bared. He fires at the base of the core, chewing through pulsing tissue. Doc, Muldoon yells. You don't know what that'll... Shut up and shoot, Grant snaps. The Emperor forces himself upright. Each movement grinds the shadow spikes deeper. He steps toward the core. Not to join it, to pull it. He grips the central column with both hands. His fingers sink into meat and metal. Psychic energy slams into him, raw and ugly. He lets it wash through him, then redirects it like a man forcing a raging river into a new bed. Run, he says, teeth clenched. Titus doesn't argue. He grabs the injured Marine with one hand and hauls him toward the side door. Fall back, he roars. All units, clear the vault. Charges set. Muldoon and Grant backpedal toward the corridor. Grant fires until the Hellgun's cells run dry. Muldoon throws a last grenade, which disappears into a mass of tendrils and blooms in a burst of green fire. Helix 9 shrieks, half in the air, half in their heads. You refuse, he howls at the Emperor. You would rather see this all die than be your flawless machine. Yes, the Emperor says. He pulls, not to take the hive into himself, to tear it. He splits the Nexus in two. For a heartbeat, the minds of every dinosaur on the island go blank. Then the melter charges detonate. White heat blasts up through the core. Metal and flesh boil. The shockwave hurls everyone into walls and floors. The Emperor holds on until the last possible moment, then tears himself free and throws his body between the blast and the doorway. His armor takes the fire. Gold turns red, then black. Shadow spikes in his chest and shoulder flare and crack. The world becomes sound and light and pain. When the roaring stops, there is only ringing and smoke. Grant blinks. He lies on his back in the corridor, Muldoon half on top of him. The Death Watch are, crumpled in a heap, armor scorched. The door into the vault is half sealed with collapsed stone and slagged metal. Heat radiates from it. Slowly, groaning, they climb to their feet. Roll call, Titus rasps. All Marines answer, though one coughs blood, and another's left arm hangs useless. Muldoon pats himself down. All parts present, he mutters. Grant staggers to the ruined doorway. Emperor, he shouts, are you in there? For a moment, there is no reply. Then a hand punches through the melted metal. It is burned and cracked, golden plates blackened, light leaking through seams. It pulls. The door twists aside, protesting. The Emperor steps out. He is charred. His cloak hangs in scraps. The spikes in his chest and shoulder are burned down to stubs, but black veins still spread from them, crawling under his skin like ink. His face is calmer than it has any right to be. Hive Nexus destroyed, he says. Helix 9 is no more. Grant peeks past him. The chamber is a crater. The tanks are gone. The core is gone. Only a hole remains, leading down into a glowing pit where magma and burning coolant mix. Is it over? Grant asks. The Emperor looks up, toward the ceiling, toward the sky beyond it. The dark bruise in the warp has shrunk. It no longer pulses as strongly, but it has not vanished. No, he says, not yet. The main node is gone, but echoes remain. Fragments of the song still run in the beasts above. He touches his chest where the spike went in. Some of it runs in me, he adds quietly. Grant sees the black lines and shivers. Are you infected? He asks. In a sense, the Emperor says. It tasted my light and left hooks. If I am not careful, every act of power will tug on them. The wider hive may still hear. Titus looks grim. So you can't just burn out the remnants, he says. Not without risking a louder call, the Emperor agrees. Val's voice crackles on the Vox. Your biosign spiked and then dropped, she says. We felt the shadow flare and recede. Report. The core is destroyed, Titus says. But the Emperor has been compromised. He glances at the golden giant. Tell her, the Emperor says. Titus hesitates, then nods. Heretic Magos was growing a local Tyranid synapse web, he says. He used the Emperor's psychic connection as a channel. Now there are hooks in his avatar. If he uses full warp strength, he could feed any nearby Tyranid presence. On the other end, Val is silent for a long moment. Then he is a potential beacon, she says at last. A walking risk. Yes, the Emperor says. That is why we will act with care. They make their way back up through the ruined labs. On the surface, the storm has lessened. Rain falls in thin sheets now, not walls. The dinosaurs across the island move in confusion. Without the core's tight command, herd paths loosen. Some predators turn on each other. Some stop and simply stand, shivering, as if waking from a long, dark dream. In the visitor center, Lex and Tim cling to each other as the building shakes from distant blasts. When it stops, the lights flicker. Val stands at the main doors, watching the jungle, vox bead in her ear. Hammond paces. Did they? He starts. Val holds up a hand. Strike team is returning, she says. She does not say yet whether that is good or bad. Minutes later, the Emperor and the others walk into the main hall. Everyone sees the damage. Hammond winces at the sight of burned armor and black veins. Lex runs down the stairs. You're hurt, she says. It will pass, the Emperor lies. The core is gone, Titus reports. The main hive mind here will not reach full strength, but there are still ripples. The beasts are not as they were before, and the Emperor's presence complicates things. Val steps closer, studying the black lines under his skin. Corruption? She asks. Not in the normal sense, he replies. No demon whispers, no chaos mark, but a shadow, a bond to a kind of mind that would gladly eat me whole if I let it. Can you cut it out? Sattler asks, staring at the veins like roots under glass. Not alone, he says. If I pull too hard, I may tear the tether itself. My true body on the throne would feel that. It could weaken the beacon that guides your ships. Or worse, open a way for this pattern to creep back along the link toward Terra. The word lands heavy. Terra, the cradle of humanity, the heart of the Imperium, the world Val has sworn to protect, even from him. Ray Arnold shifts uneasily. So what now? He asks. We can't leave this shadow in our animals, and we can't have you blow up every time you do something psychic. Not if that means calling space bugs that eat planets. Val looks from the Emperor to her tech priest. Options, she demands. The tech priest clicks. We can attempt local purges, he says. Kill as many beasts as possible with fire and toxin. Reduce the number of active nodes. But the pattern is in their gene lines. Any surviving stock could regrow it. Exterminators would end the problem, Val says softly. No beasts, no labs, no island. Hammond flinches. My grandchildren are still here, he whispers. My staff, I know, Val says. I will not give that order while they live. But I must think beyond you, Hammond. If this shadow spreads, I will be forced to act. She turns back to the Emperor. And you, she says. You are now a strategic threat. If a real hive fleet appears within range and feels you, it will come. I am also the one most able to help you stop it, he replies. Val's jaw tightens. This is beyond my rank, she admits. She hates saying it, but it is true. I can declare an island heretical, she says. I can kill a sector governor. I cannot decide alone whether to let a being that may be the Emperor himself walk around with tyrannid hooks in his soul. Then who can? Lex asks. Val looks up. Only one power, she says. The throne, the High Lords, the Ecclesiarchy, the ones who speak for him, for it, in the wider Imperium. She meets the Emperor's eyes. I will have to take you to Terra, she says, to stand before the Golden Throne itself, to be judged. The hall goes silent. Sattler does not understand all these terms, but she knows what judged sounds like. You're going to put him on trial, she asks. In a way, Val says. The Supreme Authority must see this with its own eyes, or eye, or whatever remains. If this being is the Emperor, it must be bound by its own law. If it is a pretender, it must be ended with the strongest rights we have. She turns back to Hammond and the others. In the meantime, we lock this island down, she says. No one leaves without my mark. No samples, no eggs, no code. We reduce herd numbers where we must and monitor warp echoes from orbit. If the shadow rises again before we reach Terra, I will not hesitate. Her hand brushes the hilt of her bolt pistol. Exterminator stays on the table, she finishes. Hammond sinks onto a bench, face grey. I wanted a park, he murmurs. Now you speak of burning worlds. The Emperor steps closer to him. Dreams have costs, he says quietly. We all learn that, some sooner than others. He looks at Val. You want to drag me before the throne, he says. Good. I intend to go. There is work to do there that has waited far too long. Lex stares at him. You're going to see God? She asks. In a sense, he says. Or at least, the thing your people made of me. She frowns. I thought that was you, she says. He looks up, toward the ceiling, toward a point far beyond it. I am a part, he says, a shard. The throne holds the rest. It has grown, strange, over long years of worship. Val feels a chill. You speak of the throne as if it is something that could speak back, she says. It can, he replies. It does. You simply do not always hear it clearly. Later, as night deepens and the storm fades to a soft rain, the Emperor stands alone on a balcony of the visitor center. He looks out over the park. Fire burns in a few distant spots where vehicles overturned or fences sparked. Herds move like dark rivers through the trees. The sky shows stars again, but one patch remains faintly bruised, like a wound slowly healing. He feels the hooks in his chest and shoulder throb with each warp current that touches him. If he lets his mind relax, he can hear faint whispers, not clear words, just a sense of hunger, of many small lives waiting to be told where to run. He could, he knows, lean into that. He could send them away from the visitor center. He could guide them into canyons and gulches and off cliffs. He could save lives here and now by using the very link that threatens to doom far more. The temptation is smaller than Helix 9's grand vision, but sharper. Break his own rule a little. Do a small wrong for a clear good. He closes his eyes. No, he tells himself. You drew a line. You do not cross it on the first hard night. He will act through his hands and his orders, not through that thin, dark cord. There is a faint sound behind him. Metal on stone. He turns. Captain Titus stands in the doorway, helmet tucked under one arm. The Inquisitor wants us ready, Titus says. Her ship can reach orbit in 3 hours. She plans to leave a garrison here and take you and a few others back to the Black Ship. The Emperor nods. Will you come? He asks. I have orders from the Deathwatch Watch Fortress, Titus says. Investigate the anomaly. If it proves a threat, kill it. If it proves a blessing, guard it. I judge today that you destroyed a greater threat at cost to yourself. He meets the Emperor's gaze. So I go where you go, he finishes, until that changes. The Emperor studies him. You would follow me against your own church? He asks. I follow duty, Titus replies. In my chapter, that means following the Emperor as we understand him. Right now, you match that pattern more than most of the priests I've met. He smiles, a short, grim line. And if you ever stop, he adds, I will put a bolt around through your helm and hope the throne thanks me. The Emperor inclines his head. That is the correct answer, he says. They stand together in silence for a while. Below, a herd of triceratops moves along a riverbank, horns catching starlight. Do you think they'll just wipe this place out when we're gone? Titus asks. Val will try not to, the Emperor says. But she will listen to augur readings, not to dinosaurs' eyes. If the shadow swells, she will burn it. That is her role. And yours? Titus asks. To make sure she does not have to, he says. By setting limits she can trust. Inside, Inquisitor Val kneels in a small makeshift chapel. It is just a corner of the Visitor Center's museum, cleared of benches, with a simple Aquila symbol painted on a wall. A few stormtroopers kneel behind her, heads bowed. The tech priest stands to the side, mechadendrites twitching, whispering Binharic prayers to the Omnissiah. Val grips her rosarius, eyes closed. Lord of mankind, she murmurs. If that is you, walking in golden flesh, give me a sign. If it is not, give me the strength to put it down. Her words echo in the small space. For a long moment, there is nothing. Then the Aquila on the wall glows. Not bright, just a soft, steady light, like a candle catching. Val's breath catches. She feels not words, but a sense of weight and direction. Bring it home. Not kill it, not crown it, just that. Home, she whispers. Terror. She opens her eyes. Very well, she says. We take it to the throne. We bind it with law. We make it answer to something beyond itself. She stands. To her stormtroopers and the park survivors, she says, prepare for departure. The Emperor, the anomaly, will travel under inquisitorial seal to Terra for judgment. Until that judgment is given, no one worships it, no one spreads tales, and no one touches it without my leave. If you do, you will answer to the Ordo and to me. Lex, listening from the doorway, shivers a little. To Terra, she whispers to Tim. He's going to the place they make all the rules. Tim nods. What about us? He asks. Lex looks at the mural of a dinosaur skeleton behind the Aquila. And what about them? She adds. No one answers yet. Across the hall, the Emperor feels the faint glow of Val's prayer. He does not send the light in the Aquila. That is a reflex of the faith that clings to him, shaped by thousands of minds. But he rides it gently. He touches the idea of home it holds. Yes, he thinks, it is time. For too long, he has sat on the throne as a mute engine, letting others speak for him. If a shard of him can reach it now, with fresh wounds and fresh lessons, perhaps something can change. Perhaps he cannot unmake the church. Perhaps he cannot stop all the burning worlds. But he can set a new mandate. For himself, for those who bear his sigil, for those who clone life and play with minds. He looks once more at the island, at the beasts that move under strange stars, at the people huddled in a building made for tourists, now turned into a fortress. This began as a failure of control, he says softly. It will end as a lesson in limits. The black veins in his chest throb in answer. They are not gone. They may never fully go, but they can be bound. For that, he will need judgment, and he will need, in a strange way, to stand before himself. Up to now, the Emperor has cut out the island's hive heart, taken shadow wounds into his own spirit, and agreed to face the highest judgment of his own Imperium. Now his shard goes home. The black ship slides through the void like a knife of iron prayer. Ahead, the Sol system fills the view screens. Gun platforms hang over planets like metal moons. Void mines drift in patient webs. A ring of warships, each the size of a city, waits around a single bright world. Terra, the cradle of mankind, the prison of its master. Inquisitor Serra Val stands on the bridge, hands clasped behind her back. Her eyes drink in the tactical hollows. Her jaw is set. Approach vector confirmed. The navigator drones. Defensive grid acknowledges inquisitorial seal. Firing solutions. Held in reserve. Held, Val mutters. Not lowered. She turns. The Emperor stands at the center of the bridge. Golden armor, cracked and blackened from the lab blast. Black veins still spider under his skin around the shadow spike scars. His halo burns small, controlled. Every crew member keeps a slight distance from him, even the tech priest. They can all feel him, like standing near a storm and a sun at once. Your world has grown teeth, he says, looking at the screen. Teeth keep monsters out, Val replies. And in, he says. She does not answer that. Landing clearance granted, the Vox officer reports. Direct route to the Imperial Palace. Escort by Custodes and Silent Sisterhood confirmed. Val nods. To the throne room then, she says, for all of us. Captain Titus, standing near a bulkhead, watches Terra grow larger. He has fought on 100 worlds. He has seen hive cities and demon worlds and dead rocks full of old bones. None of that feels like this. This is home. This is where his gene line began. He bows his head, not in fear, but in a heavy kind of respect. If this goes badly, he murmurs to the Emperor, I will try to make it quick. The Emperor actually smiles. If this goes badly, he says, it will not be quick for anyone. The shuttle drops through Terra's skies. Heat flares around the hull. Clouds streak past. Below, the Imperial Palace spreads like a continent of stone and gold. Walls miles high, towers like mountain ranges, cathedrals upon cathedrals stacked and welded together. Titans, walking battle cathedrals with guns for arms, stand in silent ranks near the outer bastions, like gods waiting to wake. The shuttle settles in a vast landing court. Statues of saints taller than buildings look down. Flags whip in the wind, the double-headed eagle, the sigils of the High Lords, the symbols of the Inquisition. At the foot of the ramp waits a line of golden giants, Adeptus Custodes. They are taller than space marines, broader, armor brighter than the Emperor's burned plates. Their spears crackle with caged lightning. Red plumes trail from their helmets. Beside them stand hooded women in plain bronze armor. Sisters of silence, blanks. Their very presence snuffs out psychic sound. The ramp lowers. Air heavy with incense and city smog floods in. Val steps down first, rosette of the Inquisition held clear. Behind her walks the Emperor. Every custodian stiffens. For a heartbeat, the landing court is a held breath. The Sisters of Silence feel him as a pressure in the air, like a storm about to break. He feels them as a ring of quiet that bites at the hooks in his chest and shoulder. The black veins retreat just a little. The custodian at the front, plumes highest, steps forward. His voice is low but clear. "State your nature," he says to the Emperor. "There are many spirits that would wear this face." The Emperor looks at him. "I am the one you were made to guard," he says, "or what remains of him." He does not flare his aura. He does not knock anyone to their knees. He simply lets old recognition pass between them. The custodian's eyes widen a fraction behind his helm. He sees campaigns long before his own time. He hears a voice that once ordered armies like chess pieces, and then, later, said nothing at all. He kneels, not fully, just one knee, spear grounded. "I feel a pattern that matches my oaths," he says. "But I am not the one who decides if you are truth or trap. The throne will judge." "Good," the Emperor says. The other custodians kneel the same way. The sisters do not. Their faces are unreadable. Their blank fields bite a little harder. Val watches it all. "Escort us," she says. "Inner sanctum. Seal all records. This audience is for the throne and it's chosen alone." The journey into the palace takes hours. Corridors large enough for tanks. Gates thick enough to stop titans. Chambers filled with chanting priests, burning censers, and lines of kneeling pilgrims who will never see the inner halls. At each barrier, the custards speak a code name older than most civilizations. At each ward, the sister's blank presence passes and resets the psychic locks. The Emperor walks in silence. He sees how his image has grown. Murals of the Great Crusade and the Horus heresy, painted in blood colors. Statues of him taller than titans, always calm, always perfect. He also sees the scars, walls cracked by past assaults, patches of newer stone where old sections were rebuilt after demon infestations, hidden wards carved with symbols that are not imperial at all, but older, stranger. Val keeps her eyes ahead. Titans and cathedrals and statues would overwhelm almost anyone. For her, the real weight lies ahead. At a small side door, the sisters peel off, leaving only two to walk with them. The blank field lessens. The hooks in the Emperor's chest pulse, noticing the change. They whisper, faint and hungry. "Not now," he tells them. Titus hears nothing, but he sees the Emperor's jaw tighten. "Still with you?" he murmurs. "Yes," the Emperor replies. "Shadows are stubborn." At last, they reach the final gate, the Eternity Gate. It is a wall of gold and steel, carved with 1 billion tiny scenes. Men kneeling, men burning, men marching to war. Before it stands a single custodian, armor engraved more deeply than the others, spear longer, plume higher. He is the Captain General. He studies the group, Inquisitor, Tech Priest, Space Marine, Stormtrooper Escort, and the Golden Figure. "You bring a dangerous thing to the throne," he says to Val. "Yes," she answers, "because leaving it outside is more dangerous." The Captain General's gaze goes to the Emperor. "You come claiming to be our lord," he says. "You carry wounds that smell of the great devourer. You walk in a body that is not the one on the throne. Why should I let you step one pace closer?" The Emperor looks at him, and for a moment he is simply tired. "Because this must be faced," he says. "If you turn me away, the hooks in me will still pull. The lessons I carry from that island will still fade. And when the next Magos makes a hive in secret, you will burn another world without ever understanding how you helped build the fire." Silence. The Captain General holds his gaze for a long time. Then he steps aside. "The throne judges," he says. "Not I." He slams his spear butt against the floor. The Eternity Gate groans and opens. Light spills out, not bright, not soft, a steady, heavy glow like an open furnace in a dark factory. The golden throne fills the chamber. It is not just a chair. It is a mountain of machinery and bone, cables and pipes, gold plates and human skulls. At its center sits a corpse. Once, the Emperor's true body. Now, a withered figure bound in a cage of golden metal and burning runes. Around the throne, thousands of robed figures chant, their voices woven into a constant drone. Machines click and hiss, flames gutter. The air smells of oil, incense, and old blood. Psychic light blazes here. It is not clean. It is layered. The Emperor's own power stretched across 10,000 years. The faith of trillions poured in as prayers. The warp echoes of saints, martyrs, and madmen. The Avatar feels it like standing before the ocean while made of ice. Val kneels, head low. Titus goes to one knee, fist to chest. The Tech Priest bows, mechadendrites drawn close. Only the Emperor stays standing. He knows kneeling here would be a show. The throne does not care for knees. It cares for minds. He steps forward until he stands before the lowest step. The chanting swells, then drops. One by one, the robed figures' voices fade. The chamber becomes strangely quiet. Then the throne speaks. Not with the corpse's mouth, not with machine vox. Inside the Emperor's skull, a voice like his own, older and wider, says, "Shard." He answers without moving his lips. "Whole," he replies. For a moment, he feels the link fully open. He is both here and there, both in the burned golden body and in the withered one on the seat. He tastes Terra's sky and Isla Nublar's wet leaves at once. The hooks in his chest flare. The tyrannid pattern tries to crawl along the open channel toward the larger mind. The throne feels it too. "Broken," the great voice says. "Yes," he answers, "and that is why we must talk." Time bends. To Val and Titus, the Emperor just stands there, eyes glowing a little brighter. To him, ages pass in a breath. The throne shows him 3 visions. In the first, the warp tether snaps. His shard dissolves back into the hole. The hooks melt like wax in a bonfire. The shadow song dies with a whimper. On Isla Nublar, the park is declared too dangerous and is burned from orbit. The dinosaurs die in fire and ash. The staff die or flee into an imperium that never really learns why it happened. On Terra, life goes on as before. High Lords ruling, Inquisitors burning, Mechanicus Magi poking at forbidden things in sealed labs. The lesson from the island, about limits, about mercy, about how easily the hunger of order can become the hunger of the hive. fades into a minor report in Val's archives. He feels the weight of what he has always been, a fixed point, a dead law, a light in the warp used by others as a tool. Return, the throne voice says. Safe, the way things are. In the second vision, he refuses to rejoin. He snaps the tethers himself. His shard becomes a fully separate mind, still strong, still bright, no longer bound to the throne's law. He walks the stars as a free agent. He finds secret labs and smashes them. He tears tyrants from their thrones and shows their people new ways to live. He saves worlds from exterminatus by sheer force of will. He also splits the Imperium. For every inquisitor who follows him, another calls him heretic. For every chapter master who sees him as the true voice, another sees a warp trick wearing the Emperor's face. Wars break out, not Horus heresy big, but big enough. He sees Val forced to choose, her own Inquisition tearing itself apart. He sees Lex's grandchildren grow up in a galaxy where the Emperor means two different things, and people kill each other over which one is right. Free, the throne voice says, but breaking what remains. In the third vision, he steps into a narrow line. He keeps the tether. He does not take full control. He does not snap free. Instead, he accepts chains. Not chains of iron, chains of law. He sees a new decree carved into the walls of this very chamber. He sees sigils added to his statues, not to praise him more, but to limit where his name can be used. He sees a pattern of work. He will be sent where life has been twisted in ways that risk calling greater monsters. He will be bound never to use the tyrannid hooks to steer a hive mind, even for a good cause. He will be watched by the Inquisition and the custodes both. He will be allowed to act, but each act will cost him. The throne will bleed a little more power every time his shard manifests. His own mind will take on more scars. He will save some worlds. He will fail others. He will not make a perfect order. He will make boundaries, places where even his own servants must stop and think before they cut. Servant, the throne says, bound, loud enough to help, quiet enough not to break what holds. The Emperor stands in all three futures. He weighs them. The first is tempting, rest, unity. No more hard choices from a place where he can see them. But it means letting the Imperium continue on autopilot, running on old fear and old glory. The second scratches at his pride. He could show them all how wrong they've been. He could rip out corruption, rewrite dogma, smash the High Lord's chairs. But he knows what that would do. He has seen enough civil wars. He remembers the heresy. He will not spark another, with himself as both prize and target. The third is ugly, hard, full of slow work and half wins. It also matches what he heard in Lex's small voice in the lab. Please don't let them kill the dinosaurs for nothing. Not never kill. Not never burn a world. Not for nothing. Not just to feel in control. He thinks of Hammond, crushed by his own dream. Of Sattler, arguing that living things deserve more than cages and fire. Of Val, ready to burn, but still hoping not to. He thinks of his own motto, half buried under cathedrals. A species that will not choose is not worth saving. The third path makes them choose. They will have to write new laws. They will have to stand up against their own habits. They will have to tell over-eager commanders no sometimes, even when yes would be easier. He lifts his head. Show me the bound path in detail, he tells the throne, and I will take it. Power scaling. Interlude Tseki. T. High above the throne room, in sealed scriptoria, robed scribes and inquisitorial adepts later write out the new mandate in simple terms. The Emperor's shard may manifest in the material world, Only when a High Lord, the Captain General of the Custodes, and at least one Inquisitor agree that a threat involves forbidden life-shaping or hive mind risk. Each manifestation drains both the Golden Throne and the Shard itself, shortening the time the Astronomicon can burn without repair. The Shard is forbidden to drive or join any hive mind, even to save a world, and must rely on mortal allies and limited focused acts instead of giant psychic storms. Custodes and Inquisition observers must travel with it, not as handlers alone, but as witnesses, ready to shut it down by force or right if it breaks the law. The tyrannid hooks it carries are to be monitored, not exploited. Any sign of them trying to spread beyond the Shard will trigger immediate containment and, if needed, termination. Back in the chamber, the throne's light shifts. It focuses. The Emperor feels chains settle around his Shard. Not heavy, just present. They run from the throne to him, lines of law and oath. He could break them if he hurled all his will at once. But that is the point. He will not. He accepts them. The hooks in his chest flare and then dull. They are still there. The shadow is still coiled. But now a sheath wraps around it. A cage made not of metal, but of choice. I will not use you, he tells the shadow. I will not feed you. You are not my tool. He feels it sulk. Hunger without a hand to guide it is just noise. The throne's voice speaks again. Bound, it says. Bound, he agrees. A ripple spreads. Statues shift. On murals across the palace, a small change appears. The double-headed eagle, the Aquila, remains, but under its claws, in some images, a new symbol grows. A world, simple and round. On it, a small gate and a simple dinosaur skull in profile, jaws closed. Not roaring, watching. The eagle's talons rest above it, not crushing it, not lifting it high, just there, guarding and warned. The Emperor feels that new emblem echo across the warp. On Isla Nublar, a scribe wakes from a doze and finds his hand has drawn it in the margin of a report. On a distant Forge world, a junior magos suddenly feels a chill and stops a gene-splicing project without knowing why. In the mind of a young girl in a park full of dangerous animals, a picture of a golden man standing between claws and children settles a little deeper. The throne releases him. Sound snaps back, chanting resumes. Priests moan in awe or fear. Val lifts her head. Titus feels like he has been holding his breath for a long time. The Emperor turns from the throne. His armor is still cracked and burned. The black veins are still there, but thinner. His halo is smaller, focused, like a lamp turned from flood to spot. He walks down the steps. Val steps forward to meet him. Well, she asks. Are you? I am what I was, he says, with new rules. Whose rules? Titus asks. Mine, he says, and the throne's, and now yours. He looks at Val. You asked for clear lines, he says. You will carry some of them. A new ordo, if you like. Ordo vitae, the order of life. You will hunt those who twist minds and flesh in ways that risk calling hives or demons. You will also protect some of their work when it serves life instead of feeding hunger. Val blinks. Protect, she repeats. Yes, he says. Not all gene work is sin. Not all parks are mistakes. But after this, none of them happen in secret. Not on your watch. She thinks of Hammond's Island, of firing solutions held in reserve. Will you stop me if I call Exterminatus too soon? She asks. If I can, he says. If you break the lines we draw. And if I do not call it soon enough, she pushes. Then I will stand with you when you finally must, he replies. There is no softness in that. Only shared weight. Titus steps closer. And us, he asks. What do you need of the Death Watch? Eyes on the edge, the Emperor says. When something crawls out of a vat or a jungle and feels wrong, I want your reports before anyone else's hymns. You will kill what must die. You will also send me word when something strange might be worth sparing. Titus grunts. Judging which monsters get mercy, he says. That is a heavy task. Yes, the Emperor says. That is why I give it to those who already walk in shadows. He looks back at the throne one last time. I accept this mandate, he says to the silence. I will not be your silent engine alone. I will be your boundary. The throne says nothing. It does not have to. The chains in his mind hum. The path is set. Weeks later, clouds roll again over Isla Nublar. The island is quieter. Some paddocks stand empty. Herds have been culled in careful numbers. Predators that showed too much cleverness, too much high behavior, were put down under watchful guns and prayer. Others still roam, not as attractions, as living subjects, watched, studied and guarded. The visitor center bears scars and new work. Storm damage repaired, windows armored, a chapel added where the museum once had the T-Rex skeleton. Above the main doors hangs a new sign. The usual Jurassic Park logo is gone. In its place, the Aquila holds a small circle world under its claws, and on that world, a gate and dinosaur skull symbol. Not roaring, looking outward. Under it, in high Gothic and low, are the words, Warden's mandate. Life is not a toy. Lex stands under the sign, hands in her jacket pockets. Tim stands beside her, older by months that feel like years. Looks different, Tim says. Better, Lex replies. Around them, workers in new uniforms move. Some wear the Inquisition's eye with a small leaf-shaped mark. Ordo Vitae, Lex has heard the adults call it. Others have Mechanicus cog symbols, but theirs include a little dinosaur skull now, reminding them that their machine god is not the only thing watching. Dr. Ellie Sattler walks up, datapad in hand. Tour's ready if you want to see the new herbivore range, she says. Actual tour this time, no rampaging. Lex smiles. You really think it's safe? She asks. No, Sattler says, but it's honest. She gestures at the sign. Those words mean we will treat them as living things, she says. Not as rides, not as targets. And if we need to end them, we'll do it for reasons we can say out loud, not because it's easy. Hammond sits on a bench nearby, blanket over his legs, watching workers install new sensor towers. He looks smaller now, less like a ringmaster, more like a grandfather who has seen some of his dreams die and is trying to build better ones from the pieces. The Emperor is not here. His shard has withdrawn. He left a small group of custodes and sisters and an Ordo Vitae cell to watch the island. But Lex still feels him sometimes. When she looks at the sign, when she sees a raptor watching her from the tree line and chooses not to throw a rock. She dreams of him walking between teeth and children, cloak spread like a shield. She knows he is out there somewhere, doing the same thing on bigger stages. Far away, on a hive world called Karsis, a boy named Bren walks down a crowded hab corridor. Sirens blare. People press toward shelters. A rumor runs ahead of the sound. Gene lab breach, someone says. They were making new guard beasts. It went wrong. Exterminatus, another mutters. Inquisition will burn us. They always do. Bren squeezes his little sister's hand. He doesn't really know what exterminatus means. He just knows it's bad. At the shelter door, a soldier in flak armor stands, rifle slung. On his shoulder is an Aquila patch. Under it, a smaller symbol, a world with a gate and a little skull. The officer beside him sees Bren staring. First time seeing that one, she asks. Bren nods. What is it? He says. Warden's sign, the officer replies. Means the new Ordo is watching. Means if the lab broke rules, they'll pay. Means if there's a way to fix this without burning the whole block, someone will try. New Ordo, the boy asks. Order of life, she says. They say the Emperor himself set it up. Said we can't treat people and animals like ammo crates anymore. Not where it risks something worse waking up. Will they save us? His sister whispers. The officer looks down the corridor, where distant thuds echo. The sound of something big moving. Maybe, she says. Maybe not, but they'll weigh it, lad. They won't just hit the fire button because it's tidy. Bren nods slowly. He is still afraid. But as he steps into the shelter, he looks once more at the patch. For the first time, the idea of the Emperor is not just a far light on terror or a statue in a chapel. It is also that little world under the eagle's claws, with something alive on it that is not just a human soldier. He holds that picture close as the door closes and bolts slam. In a hidden vault deep under a different forge world, Amagos looks at an old backup file. Helix 9 did not send much before he died. Just a pattern, a half-made song. It speaks of beasts and hives and a golden mine that refused to join. The Mago studies it. The new laws from Terra are clear. No mixing of tyrannid gene stock. No unlicensed hive experiments. Severe penalties. He runs a simulation. The pattern shows power, control, unity. He feels the weight of the Warden's mandate on his cogitator screen. He remembers the symbol now painted on his own laboratory door. Life is not a toy. He closes the file. He deletes it. He wipes the sector clean. He walks away, mechadendrites twitching with frustration and relief. Another time, he tells himself. Another way. Not this. The shadow song fades a little more from the galaxy. Back on Terra, in the Golden Throne's quiet moments, the Emperor's whole and shard speak without words. He feels new chains and new space. He sees Val filing her first Ordo Vitae cases with more care than she ever gave old burn orders. He sees Titus training Deathwatch squads to recognize not just what to kill, but what to call for help. He sees Isla Nublar under watching eyes, its beasts no longer puppets of a hive, but still dangerous, still needing guards. He feels the hooks in his shard ache when tyrannid fleets shift far away. He feels the chains hum and hold. He could have chosen a clean path, silence or revolution. Instead, he chose rules and work. He chose to stand where teeth and fire meet children and beasts. He knows he will be cursed as often as he is thanked. That is fine. He did not take this role to be loved. He took it so that when someone, somewhere, is tempted to make a new Jurassic Park on a world of their own, they will feel a weight over their shoulder, a sense that someone is watching, someone who knows what happens when wonder and control go too far, someone who will ask them, in the end, at what price. Codex note: by decree of the High Lords and seal of the Inquisition, the Warden's mandate binds all gene cults, Mechanicus cells, and imperial governors. Life shaped in labs is subject to judgment, not whim, and the Emperor's shard may intervene as sanctioned servant, where such work risks awakening hive or hell.